Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we begin, I would like to give a shout out to our supporters, especially our patrons. Thank you for supporting the growth of this podcast and helping this community grow. And for everyone listening, you can, continue to support us. We are not where we'd like to be yet, and even if we get there, there's still more room for growth and evolution because we don't plan to just stop at one place. We plan to keep growing and growing. So, if you can't join us on Patreon yet, we understand. It's not easy for everybody right now, but you can continue to like, you can continue to keep sharing, you can continue to, keep putting the word out there. We are an independent podcast, so we are really, really small. So give us positive reviews and 5 stars on especially iTunes and all the bigger podcast platforms. And we appreciate that a lot. And if you post that on your social media, tag us, we'll see that, and we'll get you a reward. And you can also get our t-shirts at vetclothing.com. It's a black-owned clothing company, also a fellow veteran like myself, and he's been on the podcast too. So support. So with that being said, let's jump to today's guest. He's, I think this is the biggest living legend that I've had on the podcast. And he's a brother who, I'm telling you, he's a path creator. Without this brother, I'm not sure people like myself will be in this space. And he's opened the doors for a whole lot of us. And if you don't know him, and you're in the podcasting game, you're in the content creating game, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to go look him up, and if you watch even a 4-minute video of this brother, you're gonna be like, wow, yes, I'm on the right. You're gonna jump on the path too. You're gonna jump on the path. So, special shout out to Desiree for making this connections. I appreciate you, sister, for everything. But now, let's get to meet Derrick N Ashong, who is the CEO and founder of AMP.it, right?
I said it. Well, we call it AMP Global.
AMP Global. Okay, yes. Sorry about that. So AMP Global, and he's I don't even know how to begin. I'll allow you to do the proper introduction because I'm overexcited here. But he's been on Opera. He's been with some of the biggest names that you know out there. He's everything positive just comes from this brother. That's just it. But he just recently, himself and his team recently won the 2021 Telly Awards, the 1-2 awards. And this brother deserves more than that. He's a man who's just, he gives back to the community, and not just only in the United States, but also in Africa and around the world. Everybody's benefited from him. He's a Harvard alum, and he's a founding member of the Black Men's Forum and the Harvard Black Alumni Society. And there's so much more that I don't think I can do justice to when it comes to introducing Derrick. So please, Derrick, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Oh, it's a pleasure, Raphael, and thank you for that amazing intro. I'm like, yo, man, this dude sounds dope. Who are we talking to? Wait, it's me? I, that's cool, yes. So thank you, man, for the positive energy and everything. I really appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity to come and chat with you. Very briefly, I'm Derrick N Ashong, DNA, born in Accra, Ghana, raised in Accra, in Brooklyn, Flatbush, as well as in Riyadh and Doha in the Middle East, as well as in New Jersey. Every 4 years till I was 20, I moved to a different country. My career has been at the intersection of technology, media, and entertainment, as you so well put it. And I'm the founder and CEO of AMP Global Technologies, where we're really focused on how do you turn culture into currency in ways that reward the creators, the fans, the people who drive the cultural narratives around the world.
Awesome. So thank you for joining us. We're honored to have you as always. And So let's go back to the very beginning. As you've already mentioned, you were born in Accra. You have Riyadh, you have Doha, you have Brooklyn, and I'm missing one more city. All in your
Jersey.
childhood, Jersey, and
Yeah.
that's like just wow. That's a whole chunk of the world right there from your childhood, and it's like you said every 4 years, and
Yes.
it's almost like the military where it was like every 3 years you had to switch to a different command. That's what it was like for me as
Yes.
an adult. So what was your child? How would you define your childhood, or how would you describe your childhood to the audience?
Very nice question. I think for, my childhood was one of a lot of change. I think that's the obvious part. And there's two sides of that. There's the challenge of, oh my God, like I'm moving, I'm going to a new place. And when you're little, the first move, all that matters is you're with your mommy, you're going, my dad had already left. So we're going to see daddy. So it's all good.
Yeah.
Then the next move when it's like that's Ghana to Brooklyn. When you're talking about you going from Brooklyn to Saudi Arabia, it's like Saudi Arabia, oh, the Middle East, like, oh, you're living in America. There's a certain perception in the Middle East. What's it gonna be like? And then, from Riyadh to Doha, not too tough. With Doha coming back, there's another challenge of like, wait a minute, like, where are you from? And you're from the Middle East. And it, my experience has been one of on the one hand, the challenge of moving into new spaces and the difficulty of shifting from what you're accustomed
Yes.
to something new. And the flip side has been the incredibly liberating experience of discovering that people are much more than what you expect. And often the story that is told about someone is not truly reflective of reality. So I have seen the good and the bad side of multiple different cultures, and I've learned not to judge these books by the cover. And I think that has given me tools, or at least a desire, to be open to people from multiple different backgrounds and, kind of the ability to build connections and build bridges and relationships. So my childhood was amazing. Like not only did I grow up in those countries, but because I was in the Middle East, it's super hot in the summertime.
Oh yeah.
So they have to send you somewhere, right? So, I'm out there, I'm in Thailand, I visit Singapore, Hong Kong, I get to go home to Ghana, I go to my favorite place to visit was New Jersey, I go into London and Amsterdam and Edmonton. I'm just getting to see the world because I'm in the Middle East, I'm in the center.
Yes.
And my parents want us to open our horizons, and so once you get past that sense of, oh, but don't you want everything to be as it was? I was raised in an environment where nothing was ever that as it was. Things always change, right?
Yes.
The thing that was consistent was my family, my mom, my dad, my sister. And so I think my upbringing gave me an openness to many people, many things, and understanding culture, but also a real value, a sense of value of family and standing by your people, staying close together, because it's that root, that fixed point that enables you to go and explore and connect, knowing that you always have that home base to return to.
Beautiful. So, in the midst of going through around the world, and as part of your childhood growing up, um, with all the beautiful experiences that you got to experience, what do you consider your favorite childhood memory? And it could be more than one story or one memory. You know.
Oh, wow. I have a lot of good childhood memories. My childhood was amazing. It was really, really wonderful. My parents were, you have issues with your parents when you're young, especially
Of
when you're
course.
a teenager. It's like, why is my father telling me this? Always telling me something. I mean, I'm trying to live my life. So, there was that for sure. But for the most part, it was wonderful. And I'll tell you like a small thing, right? So when we would travel all the time, and my little sister, when my dad left Ghana, she was a baby, and he was gone for almost a year and a half in New York. making it possible for us to come over. So when we got to New York, I was like maybe almost 4 years old, a little less than that, maybe 3 something. But my sister was like 2 year old. She's a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't really know who he was. So there's this one picture of of me running to see my dad, and he's there with his arms out, and I'm running. I'm like a little kid, and then you see the little sister running behind me, and it's just that snapshot. What you don't see is that she got closer. She saw the guy. She's like, "Who this?" And turned around and ran back to mommy. Right? So that was my first day landing in the United States. But that actually is not the great memory. The great memory is that over time, my sister, who didn't even know who my daddy was at that stage, was like, "Oh, this is the best. This is my dad. I love him so much." So she's always attached to daddy. So whenever we would go out somewhere, if we're traveling, we're in another country, we go to the mall, we go to anywhere we go, my sister wants to hold daddy's hand. And I was getting older over time. You think you can walk independent, you do your own thing. But my mom is on her own. She's standing there. No one is holding her hand. So one of my best childhood memories is whenever we go somewhere as a family, I would always go and take my mommy's hand.
Wow.
And even when I became a grown-up, I could go somewhere and it'd be anywhere with my mom and just holding her hand. She's no longer with us, I'm sad to say. We lost her 3 years ago.
Oh, sorry to hear.
3 years ago next week, actually. But that memory of being so close and feeling like I'm going to take care of my mom from the time when I was small till I became a grown man. That consistency, because home for me was not a specific place. Home was a specific experience. And I think that connection with my mom really made that home. And that is what I love and cherish the most from my childhood.
That's so beautiful. When you mentioned your sister running from your dad, it brought to mind another brother who you love, Brian Laung Aoe, also Ghanaian born, who spent some years in Nigeria, in Kano, and he was on episode 15 of the podcast, and he mentioned when he's most times before our parents migrated, one person had to go first, and then the rest of the family joined. So in most cases, it was always the dad who made that trip, and so his dad did something similar. The dad had gone, and then the dad came back after a year or two. The dad came on a visit. So in his growth stage, then he had lost, because it was, technology wasn't like it is now. So the picture of his dad had kind of disappeared in his memory. So I think it was in primary school then. So he came back from school one day and he saw a man laying down on his mom's bed. Now it had become his mom's bed. The dad didn't exist. And so he's like, I can't like take on this man too. So he goes to sit down outside and he's frowning, and he said he doesn't even recall this story, but his mom always laughs with it. So the mom comes home and sees him frowning and outside and like complaining, and she's like, what's the matter? It's like, there's one strange man on your bed. I'm like, what? There's one strange man on your bed. So the mom goes into the room, goes into the house, and that's your dad. He's sounding like today's kids, like there's a scandal. Who's that?
Who's that? Who that?
When the parents have divorced and one of them moves on, it's like, I came to the house and found somebody in the bedroom. No, I don't want that.
No. That's what. This is the original guy. This is the original man. Hey.
So I was so happy that he chose to share that on the podcast, because a lot of people try not to share something like that, but it was so funny. But it was That's beautiful awesome. At the same time, because it's part of who we are. People tend to forget that, and it also reminded me of my brother-in-law. He made the journey to South Africa, early 90s. So he literally left right after his daughter was born. His second daughter was born. So by the time she had started walking into talking, she had never seen him. She didn't really know who her father was, but she knew the word Papa. So he was now coming back to visit, and his older daughter said, "Hey, daddy, daddy, daddy," and she runs to daddy, and that one sees him, and he's like, "Oh, how are you, my beautiful?" And she's like, "Hell no!" You saw that look on her face, like, "Hell no! Who the hell is this?" And
Who are you?
and as soon as he dropped his bags and tried to run and come, she screamed like, "Ah!" And, Uncle Raf, come get me, come save me. I'm like, it's kind of weird to explain right now, but that's your daddy.
Yeah. That's right. It's like that's your daddy. You stuck with him.
That's your daddy. She's screaming, "Ah, Uncle Raf, Uncle Raf." Like now
So
she's almost
funny.
26. She like that never happened. I'm like, it did. It did.
I was there. I
I
remember.
was there.
I was there. That's real.
So,
No, but this is the thing. Like you see this idea of immigration and emigration, people
mhm,
moving and seeking opportunity, etc. And you think about the sacrifices that families make to make
yes.
that possible.
Hmm.
And so many people, the parents don't get to be with the kids the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Just to try to stretch and give them a better life. And that's one of the reasons why I think for me, I try to be respectful of immigrants in any country that I go to.
That's right.
Because you know that for that person to be there, they had to sacrifice something. They had
Exactly.
to give something up to leave your home and your family and your people to build a new life, a new opportunity. And you did it for a reason. And it's why immigrants can be such a powerful force for good and advancement in any culture that they go to,
True.
because they're bringing with them a sense of like, I have to make it worthwhile. My children don't see me. I remember them, but by the time I see them again, they may not know me.
Mm.
But I'm doing this for a reason, and I have to make it work. I have to make it worthwhile. And I think that that's a very valuable commodity, that spirit of enterprise and of commitments and willingness to make something a sacrifice for the greater good.
It's true.
And that we should be looking at immigrants and hoping to connect them with those families so that they can also live a good and wholesome life and feel fulfilled even as they're contributing to the society. A lot of places are, they're all migrants, this, immigration, that, blah, blah, blah. You want to keep your culture as it is. And then you look at all of these countries that are complaining about people migrating. These are the countries that have low birth rate. So
Yes.
what's going to happen is you look 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you're going to have a lot of old people who don't have young people to sustain the economy so that they can retire.
That's true.
And
That's
the only
true.
solution is to bring people from outside. But if you do so, you must treat them with respect. So I feel it's very resonant for me, these stories of what immigrants go through, because obviously it's my own story. And I think that we are deserving of that respect because we give more than we take wherever we go.
That's true. That's true. And it's very good that you brought that point up because I think I may have said this on the podcast before. There was 2016 or 2017. I was fortunate enough to be invited to a program at Bloomberg's financial. They had a financial program for veterans who they just said they opened it to veterans who were just interested in learning about financial markets, but not really like if you wanted to pursue a financial career. But they just like gave you a teaser, an 8 weeks was it an 8 weeks course. So I got to take part in it, and I knew it wasn't really my destiny to go along that path. But I learned a lot while in that program, and the chief economic officer of Bloomberg came to address us once, and part of his presentation was talking about it was 2017, 2017, and the way he addressed the anti-immigration policy of the then administration was, he said people fail to realize that, if United States had stuck to the anti-immigration policy that was popular at a certain period in time before the World War II, that United States of today will be in the same situation as Japan is
Exactly.
with the old population. That even right now, United States is getting close.
Yeah.
That's why the immigrant, you can't say like he and you could tell that he was a little bit conflicted as in his politics, but he was still like, I can't come out and tell you shut down the borders. say no to immigration because from an economic point of view, it doesn't make sense. I can't
It doesn't
stand
make
here. It
sense.
doesn't make sense because we
It,
will be dead. The country will just die.
that's it. And people get caught up in the prejudice
Mm-hmm.
of today. They're not thinking about what drives the economic hope and opportunity for tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you look at the top research institutions in the United States and the patents coming out of them, 70% of those patents are by people who have at least one foreign-born team member.
70.
70% of the patents from the top research institutions in the United States have at least one immigrant on the team. And that's what I mean by that sense of hustle, that enterprising nature, that do whatever it takes, because I ain't come here for free. I gave
Yes.
something up to be here. I have to make it work. And that is something that you can harness and value and build on. Man, people looking like, oh, these people came here, they don't speak my language the way I would like. Some of these people speak 2, 3, 4, 5 languages anyway.
That's true.
Man, by all means, they will learn English. Their children will learn.
That
What
is
are you
true.
talking about?
That is
right?
true.
It's guaranteed. They don't look this way. It's not what I'm used to. Come now. These are the people who are doing the jobs you don't even want to do. They come in and take our jobs. Hey, yo, who is driving these taxis in New York? Who is picking them fruits in California and Florida? They're doing all the work you don't want to do. And then the ones who
Everything
get
from
the good education.
the meats that we eat, who's packaging the meats, I mean,
exactly, all of that,
all
of those difficult jobs.
from the phones that we use, the technology, everything is the immigrants are everywhere.
And then when they get the opportunity to strive, they're going out there and they're, if you look at immigrants from virtually any society, academically and earnings-wise, they do better than native-born Americans. Why? Because native-born Americans don't want to work? No. It's because the immigrants had to give something up to get there. When I was in high school, the kids was kicking it, doing this and this and that. They had all kind of different interests. And I was like, yo, I'm expected to do academics and do very well. It's what my parents are expecting of me. And they've made sacrifices for me to have this opportunity. When I got to college, even, go to a good school. Yeah, you have opportunity. Same kids that I'm there with in this elite institution, like, yo, let's go out to this party. Oh, we gonna smoke some weed before we go, this and this. I'm like, no, because you guys are gonna go and smoke weed, and then you might get in trouble with your tutor. Well, I'm gonna go and smoke weed with you guys, and then we get in trouble, and I get deported.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a completely different perspective. So then I wound up excelling because I'm more focused on a certain thing. And it's not to say that the people who are born and bred are not contributing. It's to say that the immigrants are bringing another thing that is pushing the envelope. It's pushing the society forward. And then the society doesn't stagnate. Look at what has happened in the United States. What's been the opportunity, the power of the country? Like, oh, we got military might. Okay, there's that. We got economic might. Okay, there's that. Yeah, we got cultural power. There's that too. But what is the truly distinguishing characteristic that has defined the United States for the last 100 years? It is the one country where everyone, the best and the brightest, the ones who were able to strive to the fullest from all over the world, that's where they wanted to go.
True.
So the youth benefited from that magnetic pull of bringing all these people. And now you've created this environment where people don't feel as comfortable. And somebody who was like, well, I could go to school in England or in the US, or I could go to school in South Africa, or maybe in India, I could stay in Nigeria, I could go to school somewhere or go to the US. That kid might be like, yeah, man, I'd go to the US, but they might not treat me well, or maybe I don't feel safe, or I don't feel wanted. So I'll study here in India, or I'll go and do this degree in Amsterdam, or whatever the case may be. And that is a major loss to the nation that has not been reckoned with yet. Why? Because it takes time for them to get the degree, and then to get their advanced degree, and then for them to start their business, and then to do their research and R&D and build this wonderful new thing they built. Look at Germany and the challenges that Turkish people have had in integrating into German society for decades, regardless of how good they speak German, right?
Yeah.
And yet you see this Moderna, I don't remember if it was the Pfizer or the Moderna. No, I think it's the Pfizer, one of the vaccines.
Oh, I think it was Moderna.
That came out, the BioNTech.
Moderna.
It's the German partners that made it possible, and they're Turkish.
And they're Turkish, yes.
They're Turkish. immigrants. So I think that there is a lesson there of like, if you want your society to thrive, as the gentleman you mentioned stated, you need to keep that cultural vibrancy,
That's true.
that economic vigor that comes from people coming in and pushing the envelope, and they help everybody move forward. But when you decided, nah, we good, we don't need y'all, we're comfortable. If you're comfortable enough, your birth rate is probably low.
Exactly.
And if that's the case, then who's going to change your bedpan someday?
Yeah.
No immigrants. I guess you'll change your own, man.
Yeah, we have a lot of examples right now, and we see how they are struggling to just admit the problem, and it's like, no, no, no. Then okay, well, time. You think you got time on your side, but you'll be surprised.
You think you got time on your side?
That's how they're acting like they got time on their side, and I'm like,
That's right.
yeah, you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
Really surprised. You got people out here, you like, oh, they came without papers. I'm like, they came without papers, but they're still paying taxes. They're paying taxes for Social Security that they can't get. They're paying taxes for unemployment that they can't get.
Yep.
They're a net contributor. Yep. But you people, you are not doing math. You haven't learned your mathematics, so you don't like these guys that are funding your lifestyle.
Yeah, okay. That I won't get me started there. but let's come back to you. So, you while you from Doha was the last place you lived overseas as a kid before returning back to the States, right?
That's right.
And what was it? High school you returned back to, and before heading to university?
Yeah, I did my last 2 years of high school in New Jersey.
Okay.
Junior, senior year.
All right. So I just want to throw this question. So around high school, what did you want to be when you grew up? Did it change by the time you got to university? What was it?
Oh, big time.
I'm just curious to know.
I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Wow.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the Air Force. I used to know all of the aircraft in the U.S. Air Force. And when I was in the Middle East during the first Gulf War. And so when the soldiers would come when we went from Desert Shield into Desert Storm, they'd come in during Desert Shield. And I mean, we like 15 years old. They're like 17 years old. They, dating the same girls. I mean, they're snatching them up because we were young and stupid. We didn't know what to do. So, but we have them come over to the house and we hang out, and my mom would cook for them, and we would talk. And I'm like, yo, these brothers are really doing things for their country. I want to do the same when I go. Then they said that I went for some kind of test or something. I was like, it's too sunny. I need more sunglasses. My eyes feel sensitive. And the guy tested me, and he said that I had non-20/20 vision. And I was going to need glasses. And they gave me the glasses, and they made my head hurt and this and this. So I refused to wear them. But they said, you can't be a fighter pilot if you don't have 20/20 vision. I was so distraught. So then I came to New Jersey, and at the end of my junior year, I was accepted into a special limited program. It was like a week or two just to get to know the system at West Point. So I went to West Point for that limited program, and I loved it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go to West Point. And then I went through a bunch of things, and in my senior year, I got into Harvard, and I realized that there was an opportunity that I hadn't really anticipated, and through a variety of reasons, I decided to go there instead. And in the retrospect, I'm happy I made the decision. But the irony is when I went back to Harvard, something happened years into college, and I had to go for some eye test. And they do it for some checkup, and they do the test like, oh yeah, man, your vision is way better than 20/20, man. Your vision is great. You could have been like a fighter pilot. And I'm just like, huh? What are you telling me now? I was like, yo. So I'm like, yo, this was the hand of God. He was guiding me in a certain path. I was supposed to be somewhere else. But if you had asked me when I was coming from Doha to the US, what are you going to do? I was like, I want to be in the Air Force.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always had 20/20 vision, which I found out when I was just joining the Navy. And that I joined like I was mad ignorant. I was barely 4 or 5 months in the States when I was like, I just need something to get me out of the house. And give me, so whatever. And the distant cousin was like, oh, join the Navy, because I was going to join the Army because I said I don't know how to swim. So I didn't think about it. In the army, they might want you to know how to swim too, but it was just like,
Well,
Navy. Yeah, no, Navy is water, so no, I don't want. Yeah, and the guy was like, join the Navy. They'll teach you how to swim. I said, really? They'll teach me? Oh wow! I don't have to pay. He said, why would you pay? You're paying with your. He didn't tell me in words, but his
yeah,
now I understand what he meant. He meant you were paying with your
yes,
body and
that's right.
your life. So
Yeah, with
so
your life.
yeah, they'll teach you. Don't worry. So I was like, okay,
Yes.
and yeah, a whole lot of information he should have given me. He didn't. So when they said, "Oh, you got 2020 vision," I was like, "What is that?" Like, what is that? 2020. I'm like,
Well,
I know I can see. I know I can see.
yeah.
I have good eyesight. In Nigeria, I could see. I could see a little bit in the dark when the danger is coming. I'm running.
Exactly.
That bad boy. That boy is coming. That boy is danger.
Like that
I'm from
one is a
far.
problem. I'm out.
I'm out.
Yep.
Yep. I could see enough in the dark. I see him. I knew his shape. It's dark, but yep,
Yes.
no lights, but I could see. Yep. Yeah, I'm out of here. But so what is 2020? Oh, you mean you want to be a sniper? Sniper? Oh, that would have been nice. So, but wait, I'll be sitting there in one place for like what? No. I'll think about it. And then later I was like, maybe I should have done it. I'm like, no. And then it was later one of my uncles was asking me, why didn't you try to be a pilot? I was like, oh, you mean I could have been a pilot? Like, why didn't you ask? I was like, oh, but my morale, my confidence in myself was really low at that point in life. I never even thought of myself as a leader, but it was later I realized that, man, I've been leading people. I've been doing some crazy stuff. But yes, yeah, when you've never seen yourself as somebody in life, it's
Yes.
the amount of BS that you allow, the exploitation is just crazy. So that's where
This
I
is
was coming
this is the
from.
thing.
so
Yes.
so I was just happy that they said 2020, and they just say I can
Yeah.
see. So I never knew that there was a whole lot of things that I could have asked for and
That's right.
gotten. And then a friend of mine who we both got visas. We met at the consulate, and she got her visa like a week before I did, and she said she wanted to also go for officer program. She wanted to join the Air Force. I think something medical. They
Mm.
hers sounded like yours. When her eyes got tested, it was almost something similar, and
Mm.
she got disqualified. But she was like, she tried to tell me that she didn't buy it, but I was like, oh, maybe you can't see, your eyes not good. I didn't really listen to her then. I wasn't a good friend. I didn't listen. I was like,
Oh.
yeah, the system is 100%. Yeah, they're right. They can't be wrong.
But this is the thing. It's like when you don't know, you don't know. Like, I'm not a big fan of Donald Rumsfeld, but he did say something interesting one time about the idea of known unknowns and unknown unknowns.
Mm,
And this is the challenge of youth. It's like there's so many things you don't know,
yeah.
and you don't know them. And you said something I think is quite profound. The idea of like, when you don't know how to value yourself enough, you can miss out on a lot and you can be taken advantage of. You don't know what to ask for. And it happens to everybody. Like you're finding that path of like, how do I know who I am? What do I bring to the table? And what is that worth? And it's why it's so important to kind of connect with people and to mentor people. Like I'll tell you, I was having a conversation with a Nigerian friend earlier today, and very brilliant entrepreneur. But we were talking about how in African culture we venerate our elders, we respect our elders.
Yes.
I think that's a very good thing. But I think that sometimes elders do not respect the young.
And,
And especially when you come to
I know.
questions of leadership. You
Mhm.
see, when it comes to questions of leadership, you have people who you've cultivated these young people. They have worked hard, they've fought, they've proven what they can do. They are there, they're hungry, they're ready to contribute. They're looking for you to bring them up to the best way they can. And when they've proven more, then they go to the next level and the next and the next. And then we have so many leaders who will basically look down on you, the same young person. Like I was trying to explain to somebody, I was like, hey man, don't be there. When Obama came to Ghana, okay, President of the United States, he was at the time like 47, 48 years old. And they roll out the red carpets and they have the streets and the signs and everything. It's like, welcome, Obama. We're so happy to have you. really a wonderful, glorious welcoming. And that's a good thing.
Yes.
But I'm like, let you be a Ghanaian, 47 years old. I don't care what you have done. You have a Nobel Peace Prize. You have Nobel Prize in astrophysics. These guys won't even talk to you like, you
Nah.
small boy.
Nah.
Come fetch water. We are thirsty. Come talk to me when you are 60. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? We got real resources here. We got real people, and we don't respect them. Add the other element to it. That same young African, with all the skills that she has developed or that he has developed to bring to the table, if they have a person coming in from Denmark or from, you know what I'm saying, you rolling in from Dusseldorf, and now you're gonna come and be like, hey, this is what I got to bring to the table. Like, oh yes, it's very interesting. Yeah? He's a smart boy. What's happening? And you know, people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They don't feel good that Derrick came out and said it out loud. But that's the colonized mind.
Exactly.
Where you don't value yourself enough to see greatness in the people you've cultivated.
It's a form of anti-blackness that we've adopted. And
absolutely,
you know, I like that you mentioned the point about elders, because as a kid, you know, now I can look back in retrospect and look back at examples that were set for me, and that's why I decided by the time I knew I was going to become a father that I'm not going to be that example to my daughter, and I will try not to be that example to the youth around me. Just from, because it always begins with the little details. I don't even go to the big examples anymore. I just use the little details when people try to make arguments with me. So I always remember this game of Scrabble that I was playing with my cousin when one of these, I'll call him an uncle. I only remember him that one time he visited. And I was 14 or 15. And this guy comes to spend like a week with us. Hey, let me play Scrabble with you guys. What are you guys playing? Scrabble? Let me play. Okay, I'll give you one tile. All right. You know the rules. Yes, I know the rules. All right. I'm challenging. That's not a word. Okay, we'll give you the dictionary. Next thing, this guy is like, are you challenging? What? Why? I thought you were looking up the word that the person spelled. This guy is reading. He's reading dictionary right in front of us. Like, excuse me, sir. You know, you're supposed to just look up the word and then close the dictionary. That's, you know. Oh, I know what I'm doing. What small boy, shut up.
He's cheating at Scrabble.
Yeah, he's cheating right in front of us, and I'm like, uncle, that's excuse me. He's like, shut up. And then my older cousin, who's a little bit bigger than me, was like, okay, excuse me, uncle. He said, shut up, you small boys. You don't have respect. You don't have respect. I'm like, you know, when I start looking back, there's a whole lot of people who did that to me.
Yes.
And it was always when you had a question.
Yes.
That, okay, you told me Fela was a bad man because he smoked. That's how I grew up. Fela was a bad man because he smoked weed, not the music. So that's why Fela was bad until I became almost 20. That's when I started like breaking out of that Fela, but he had died by then. And it was after it was at his funeral that it started the charade kind of broke free, because I started seeing the people who were telling me it was bad, saying, Nigeria lost a great man. Wait, you were telling me he was a bad man, you know, growing up because he smoked weed. Everybody who smoke weed, you're bad automatically. But as a kid, I saw one of the wealthiest people in the family and a woman, because women weren't supposed to smoke too. I saw that woman smoking either a cigarette or weed at a party. She was talking to one of the dignitaries, and she was,
Auntie.
And I was like, oh, as a kid, I think I was probably 7. I don't think I was older than 7. But I didn't say it to her, but I just ran up to one of the oldest person I could find. I was like, hey, I saw this auntie smoking. I thought, is she a bad person now? I'm confused. And man, I got a slap. I was a slap in my face. Like, what the hell wrong with you? Get out of here. And I'm like, how many times did you send, what kind of message did you give that child? What kind of, like, how many times, because that is the first interpretation of leadership that we get is from the people around us. And when you start exploiting children, when you start exploiting the people in your compound, when you start exploiting, then it creates a ripple effect. into the
That's right.
community, and then when they get older, they now become the elders too, and then they start repaying it.
And they
You know,
perpetrate the same nonsense
and then
to
but
the next
we
generation.
always say the government, the government. I'm like, we are the government too. We become the government
Exactly.
because the
Government
government
is
were
governed by
children.
people.
They started as
Yes.
somebody, and they adopted that same message of abuse. So the moment I started noticing that, I started in my own little way, like, okay, I'm going to stop this. I don't agree with this one. Then you start fighting because you have to start fighting everybody. Because when you say, wait, I don't think this is right, that
Right.
we tell the kids, go buy me beer. And when the child like, well, why every time you send me to go buy this drink? What is this drink that you send me to go buy? Shut up. Don't ask questions. You're a stupid boy. He's not a stupid boy for
Exactly.
asking. You have a right to explain to him, this is not a drink for you. I'm too lazy to go buy it
Exactly.
myself. Why don't you tell him?
You see, and then you want your society to improve, but your children who are naturally curious, you're not helping them cultivate the curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
You're downgrading them for asking
For asking
questions.
questions.
You're not explaining to them for them to develop critical thought.
Yes.
Then they're going to grow up without that critical thought and be led by the nose by crooked leaders who will say anything just to get power. And then you're complaining about the country is not moving forward. We are always behind. Why? Who's it for? Always easy to look at somebody else, but where are we at? And I think that when we're thinking about this next generation, they're inundated with information.
Yes.
They're going to find out whether you share with them or not.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, it can be very dangerous when they go to find out on their own when there's so much information out there. Some of it is not right for your child.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to learn certain things at different stages. So we have to make a different kind of investment in this next generation. We have to hold the hand. Like my mommy held my hand.
Exactly.
I thought I was holding her hand.
Yes.
But she was holding mine. That's what was really happening. I think I'm protecting my mom, but she was looking out for me.
And that's
And
good
helping me to-
parenting. That's good parenting.
That's the
because
thing.
They allow you feel you are participating. You know,
Yes.
my daughter will be 3 in August, and I already allow her.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I allow her, get involved. I do volunteering on Saturday at a small community garden, and they have toys for kids. So she's there, like she's playing. But once in a while, she just gonna come up to
Yeah.
me, like, I'm doing gardening and some little stuff. It helps me meditate. And she comes up to me and she's like, I want to help. Like, so the last one time she actually, those were her words, I want to help. It's not like she can lift the amount of dirt that I'm putting in a wheelbarrow, but she just wants to act like she's doing it with me.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, that's
right.
fine. It's a moment that I won't have this moment in the future. I won't have this time anymore.
right.
So I get
That's
to
right.
cherish it, but it's doing something to her also because she's participating. So it's like
Exactly.
I have a video of I was pushing a wheelbarrow full of dirt, and it's kind of like you holding your mom's hands, but it was your mom holding your hands. So my
Yes.
daughter is there thinking like she's pushing the wheelbarrow. You
That's
can
right.
tell from her face like she's the one pushing the
Yes.
wheelbarrow. She's like, oh, it's heavy, and I'm like, yes, it's heavy. Actually, it's heavy on me too. I ain't gonna lie, but but it's that thing. It's our role to do that for the kids, but at the same time,
right.
allow them participate. Allow her voice. She can't give you a whole paragraph of sentences, but she can tell you no, I don't like it.
Yes.
And I'm saying,
Yes.
I respect that. It starts early. I'd start letting you know I will respect your
That's
views
right.
on let it. Because I don't say, oh, you're a child. What do you know? What do you know? You know certain things. I'm not gonna
exactly.
know.
Exactly. And you know what you're comfortable with and you know what you're not comfortable with. And especially, I have 2 daughters. Now they're 10 and 8. And I love that they learn how to say no.
Yes.
And I taught them. I'm like, let me tell you the power of no. We're going to learn how to say no. I'm like, you got the basic no. Okay, like no. Like that's basically, like no thanks. Like, hey, do you want an extra cookie? No, thanks. Okay. Then you've got like the strong no. Like, hey, some kid is at school, like, give me your lunch. Like, no. Okay. Then you've got the big one. When somebody is like, hey, little girl, why don't you come and get this candy? You want a candy? Hell no.
Exactly.
My wife was like, why are you teaching them these bad words? I'm like, it's not a bad word.
It's not.
Hell no is very important.
It starts with the little. If they don't know how to say the little no, they're not going to get to the big no. Yesterday
right.
at the playground, a bigger kid was throwing sands. I wasn't there, but my wife telling me that the bigger kids were there and they're throwing sands at everybody. And my daughter stood up. A kid who was like 8 or 10 years old and said, "No, that's not nice."
Yes.
And I was like clapping for. I was like, "That is amazing." I'm not telling you to go
Yes.
punch somebody on it, but you have to. You got to start
You
learning
have to
somewhere.
stand up for yourself.
You
You
start
have to stand
learning.
up for yourself. And that's what we need this generation. They have to have that inner fortitude. They don't need to be beating that stupid child. Wow,
No.
what are you asking? Like, no. You're a precious child.
Yeah.
We're not going to let you just do anything. We're not just going to be like, you want it, so you have it. No. You will learn discipline. You will learn respect.
Exactly.
But you will learn it by example. We will also show you we have discipline. We'll also show you we have respect for you too. And your small mind, your small body, your soul is big.
We allow you
and
grow,
it will grow bigger.
Exactly. So my daughter, she can. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh, your diaper needs to be changed." She's like, "No." I'm like, I'll overrule you on that, and I'll tell you why I'm overruling you, because you can't have a dirty diaper running around. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And I don't want it stinking up the whole place because you.
And we ain't nobody trying to hang out with you.
Yeah.
You don't do the basics.
We don't do that.
Yes.
We need a clean baby in this house. After that, go do whatever you want to do. Right?
That's right.
But she gets that she's still gonna be overruled on certain things, and I see like she likes going to find my wallet or her mom's wallet and pull out the credit card. I'm like, "How old are you again? You already know what a credit card is or what? I do you know how it works?" And she and runs away with the credit cards. And I'm like, good thing you can't swipe on anything in the house, but that's a no. That's a no.
Yes.
And I take it from you, but it's great to have that, because sometimes I'm telling some other people, like, "You don't beat her." I say, "What? Okay, let's say I beat her because she found my wallet laying around and she took out the credit card from the wallet, but she just ran away with it. Then I say, oh, I slap her, stupid child. Okay, what exactly has that child learned?
Exactly.
What have I taught the child?
Nothing. Not that she's not safe. That's all she learned.
And then in the future, one day that child is only going to, all I put in the child is fear. But one day, if that child realizes that, oh, I can overcome this fear, but I will come out as a rebel. That's the only thing. I can overcome this fear. He has nothing else to offer other than be afraid of me, be afraid of me. And once she overcomes that, what do I have? Will I go and call the police on her? Will I will send it to Africa? Or I will go and, what exactly do I have to offer other than that? Beating. And then the people are like, it's not like that. I'm just saying you have to discipline. I'm like, you can discipline your child without raising your hand. Do other countries, do you see them? Do they without beating their child? Don't they discipline their child too? Other cultures do it. Do they have two heads? And you're like, well, do you like anything from that culture? Yes, I do. Okay, so do you like do they beat their child? No. So is that wrong? Don't you like, when you take something from, because we take from other cultures, everybody takes from us too. So why can't you take something good like that? And it's like, but I got beat as a child. I said, so bad things happen to me as a child.
You got it, so you got to do it. I mean, with my kids, I have spanked them, but we do it with certain specific parameters.
Yeah.
And the whole goal is like, when you're little and you can't think, then I might smack you on your bums to not do something. I'm never going to hit you in anger. But now you start growing bigger. You're not a baby anymore. You 5 years old, 6 years old, whatever. You can't spank them as a baby. So it's a small window.
Mm-hmm.
But what we tried to do is let them know, like, hey, here's your choices. Here are the consequences of this choice, the consequences of that choice. If you did something wrong, I'm going to tell you that is wrong. You keep doing it again, I'm going to put you in the timeout. If you do it again, you won't take time out. I'm going to smack you. Okay, I don't want to get smacked.
Exactly.
And then we were talking the other day, and I was talking to them, and they were like, okay, well, but Daddy can spank you. Daddy can spank you. And I was like, yeah. I was like, when's the last time Daddy spanked you? They're like,
aha.
They can't remember because it never happens. But they're like, no, you have to make a good choice. And that's all I want, is for them to think, because we go so quickly, slap the child. Why? Now,
if it's just based on the beating, I use myself as an example also. Like, one of the reasons why I never bothered to learn French in school, I had French teachers at one point in time before I moved to a different city, Ibadan, and then there were no French teachers there. And earlier, I was like, why the fuck I need to learn French? It's Well, I'm from I'm a British subject. I belong to Britain. English. Everybody speaks English in the world. Who speaks French? I don't care about that.
Uh-huh.
So, but the main reason was that the teacher was going to flog you. And I was like, okay, other than flogging, what else do you have to offer? You can't give me any reason why I should learn French. You couldn't tell me
Exactly.
why I should learn French. So bring the beating. I could take and it became that stage where the boys were like, oh, girls like boys who can take a beating. So beat me and then you pop your collar.
Yes.
So the day that the teacher came to class and she was like, bring your notes. Let me see you. And nobody in the class took notes. I thought it was just me. Everybody in class, nobody took notes. The whole term. 2 months, nobody had taken notes of French. So she got mad. She's like, I can't even beat you myself. She went and got the guy who just loves flogging. So that guy came with like 5 canes. He was like, oh, this is it. Hallelujah. This is it. I'm so happy. Yes. Line up. Everybody will get on your back. 10 strokes for everybody. And all of us were like, oh, we don't know what this will feel like on our back because we're prepared for the butt. So we used to wear like extra shirts. But now that I was on the back, a girl stepped forward and she took it on her back. Pa, 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 pa. She didn't move. And as soon as she didn't move, she adjusted her collar and then she walked away. No tears, nothing. No flinching. Now all the boys were fighting. Me next. I'm next. Put me next. Yes. Yeah, I want to show off too. I want to show off because it became a competition. Nobody, there was no tell what consequences. There were no consequences.
That's right.
It was until
and there's no respect for either of those teachers.
None.
Because they didn't teach respect. They didn't show it, so they didn't receive it.
So it was like, oh, they're gonna flog you today. I'll take the flogging. And that's how until 2-3 years after I was done with secondary school, I'm in Lagos. Someone's like, hey, I have a job that will pay this amount of money. I need somebody who speaks French. Did they pay money for French?
You see?
Wait, I for learn French, oh. You mean you serious? You pay this money? Chai.
You see?
I'm there like, chai. Oh, that flogging was for, I shouldn't have taken flogging. I would have taken French now.
You see? But now we see the value. Yeah. I mean, but that's the problem. Because they won't talk to the child, they're not going to help the young person realize this is why this is beneficial for you. Like, you may not understand today, but I'm going to teach you and you're going to do it. And this is why. So even if you don't understand today, we're giving you a path to maybe understand tomorrow.
Exactly.
A journey that you can go on.
Yeah.
A journey of learning how to learn. But no, we're going to dictate. We said it. And so that's how it's got to be. And the same person, you do this when they're 7, 8, 10 years old. But you're going to do it when they're 20. You're going to do it when they're 30. You're going to do it when they're 45. And then be looking at the society asking, why are we not where we want to be? And I think that stuff is done for me. Like, for me personally, like, I'm very respectful, but I don't hear nonsense from anybody. I don't care how old you are. I have, like, maybe like one uncle where I'll never say anything. Anything he says, I won't say anything. I'm still scared to this day. He's a hard man. but
we all got
I know
somebody.
He has wisdom. Yeah. He's a hard man. I know he has wisdom and I know he respects me. So if he tells me something, I may not agree, but I'll humbly, okay, uncle, I understand. Because I know he thought about it before he said anything. A lot of these other people, it's like, oh, I'm an old guy, so I'm coming to tell you something. I'm like, okay.
That's it.
I'm not going to be disrespectful. But I'm not going to. I don't know you. You are coming. You are the Queen of England now, huh? Even the Queen herself, you can tell me something. Okay,
that's it.
Like, it gets to a certain point where we realize, we got to use our own brain. We got to find our own decisions. We have to sort of carry our own path and hopefully do so in a way where other people can come along with us, rather than this old model of we're going to shut you down until you're too old to really innovate and really push the envelope, really challenge us, and then you're accepted into the fraternity of people who are not going to change the society. Not good enough.
No, that's why even my younger ones who didn't take advice that I gave them, and it hurts to see them in the position where they are. I still tell them, look, I respect you for choosing the path that you chose to be on, but that was your choice, and I respect that. And some don't understand what I'm saying, but I'm telling you, you've chosen. I gave you I made some, I did some research for you, and I gave you some resources, and you like, I don't care. But that's a choice, and I'm respecting it. So, because I try to do the things that nobody did for me. I'm like, I
Mm,
don't care if you make more money than me. It's not about that. But I try to make sure you don't have to suffer as I did until I started
yes, sir.
finding out that, oh, I could do this. Oh, wow. These were the options that I had. So you don't have to repeat that same mistake and then get up to the 30s and then, so here you go. Here you go. But if you want to toe that line, then you make the choice. But you had the
Right.
information that I never had, and up to you.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, but I'm like, you're an adult now. You can make decisions. So I'll be
Amen.
that uncle who keep telling you that, and you hear it from me. So we take a quick break now, and then when we come back, I'll hit you with some questions into about how you got into your tech and music. Hi everyone, your host Raphael Harry here. I can't believe we've gone past our 1 year anniversary of doing White Label American. I've had the privilege of speaking with some amazing people, sharing their modern day immigrant stories. And you've allowed this Nigerian immigrant to share parts of his immigrant journey through this podcast. Also, one of my goals of this podcast is breaking down artificial walls that keep people from getting to understand each other. Based on your wonderful feedback over the last year, I think we have done a decent job in breaking down some of those walls. We would like to continue and expand on this mission, but we need your help. I've had an amazing time creating and producing episodes for this show largely on my own. We have a lot of ideas for new and exciting content to expand upon the mission, but we need direct support from you, our listeners, which is why we have created a White Label American Patreon page where you can make a one-time donation or become a sustaining contributor where you can get access to exclusive content, help me interview upcoming guests by submitting questions, and even have the chance to sit down with me for a one-on-one conversation, either virtually or in studio. So if this podcast means something to you, and if you really love this show, think about becoming a sustaining contributor and donating by going to patreon.com/whitelabelamericanpod. Thanks for listening and for the privilege of your company. So welcome back, everybody. Now let's before we jump into tech, when did you begin to wear your signature are they coral beads?
Cowrie shells.
Cowrie shells. Oh yes, cowrie shells. I've forgotten. I've not said cowrie in like how long now? It's been a while. You see this one? I need to replace
Yes.
this. I used to have like 4 of these bracelets, and then somehow I don't even know. I know my mom took one. She was like, "Oh, let me see it," and then she took. Never came back. And then I had 2 friends who went to Accra for the first time, and they brought 4 for me
That's awesome.
as a thank you for recommending Accra to them. And
Mm.
yeah, so I need to get replacements now. But yeah, I don't now it's getting. But yeah, so when did these cowrie shells become your signature, and what does it signify?
Good question. Like when? I think the when was probably in the maybe 2004, around 2003, 2004. And at the time, I was a professional musician. I was relatively early in my career then. But I realized that, everyone was wearing like mad diamonds and bling and this thing. And they're all copying each other and doing the same thing because the other people are copying it. And like, I've never been interested in like just being like everybody else. Like peer pressure doesn't work on me.
Yeah.
If everybody's doing something, by all means, I won't do it. I'm going to assume that it's stupid. Why? Not because I don't think people are smart, not because I don't think people are good, not because I don't think that people should, find certain norms, but because as soon as everyone is doing it, it means that they're probably not thinking about it. And I don't feel comfortable doing things that I ain't think about what I'm doing. I feel like it's dangerous and it's not how I want to live my life. I don't want to be just following blindly.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all of these cats, and everybody is MC, bling, bling, bling. And I'm like, you know, I also want to be fly. I don't mind my adornments, whatever, but I don't want to copy you guys because why? So I remember getting a necklace that had like a few cowries on it. And I was like, this is really beautiful. And then I have a friend, his name is Jacob, who is in Accra. And he makes these handmade. This thing, you don't see it in a mall.
Yeah.
Right? It's handmade by a
Yeah.
very brilliant chef.
That's kind of why I forgot about cowries in a second.
Yeah. And so I look at it and I'm like, you know, what does this represent? Back if you look at the money in Ghana, at the city note, you'll see a symbol of a cowrie shell on it. Because back in the day, these were used as currency.
Yeah.
In West Africa, parts of East Africa, South Asia, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, this is like my traditional bling. It represents wealth, it represents power, it represents my culture. It represents a lot of different things in tradition and traditional faith, and just the idea of I come from somewhere and I acknowledge that. And when you see me, you know I'm different. I'm not following anybody. And it reminds you of where I come from. Everyone doesn't see it and know where I come from.
Yeah.
But they see it and they know I come from somewhere else. And I'm good with that.
Beautiful. And you're right. It's currency. It's money. It's real bling. It's the original.
It's real bling.
It's the original.
That's right.
The original. That's what people don't get. Because the moment I saw your first photo, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's one time. And then I saw the next. I was like, okay, oh yeah, this is it. This is it.
Consistent.
Yeah. And people,
if I go someplace and I'm not wearing the cowries, people are like, hey, T, what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
That's your cowrie. I'm like, oh, I was tired. I was just mixing it up. Hey, man, we want to see. I'm like, I wear it for me. I don't wear it for you. Exactly. But it's good that people have acknowledged that, oh, that's like a trademark. Like, yes, this is my heritage. And it's a simple thing. It's a small thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to be consistent with it. Because I always want when people see me, and because you can see me anywhere and you hear the accent, oh, he went to this, he did that, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's not African. I know I am.
Yeah.
I am, fundamentally. Now, mind you, I'm also American. Mind you, I'm also, you know, global cultural experiences around the world. And I'm happy with all of that. But where's my root? You know, where's my culture? I have to give honor to my heritage, give honor to Mother Africa, who birthed all of humanity. And she has not been respected the way she should be. So I'm signifying where I stand. And people who want, they ask and they come to know.
I love that. And, you know, I just thought about it while you were speaking that, you know, I was someone who couldn't, you know, back in the days when I tried to copy a lot of the bling culture, I was like, oh, this is way too heavy on my neck. You know, I didn't feel comfortable with having it around me. And when I got stationed, because I got to stay in Bahrain for almost 16 months. And I was there during Arab Spring, one of the best times in my life. I don't mean the protests, the damage from the protests, but I mean, it helped me evolve as a human being, my encounter with the people. It changed me a lot. And being over there, if you were stationed there was no way you didn't get to make jewelry, get yourself some gold and all that. So, you know, I joined, I fell for the peer pressure and went into the souk. I still have my Bahraini gold guy's number. He calls me once in a while, like, hey man, you want to make some gold? I'm like, I was never really a gold person, and my wife's not really into jewelry like that, so I lucked out. So I remember the first time I went there, and he was like, oh, you know, you have Navy guys love this type of, and he put one, or like, it looked like a Mr. T type of chain, and he put it on. I was like, hell no, man, hell no. I can't walk to the door with this, like, hell no. Like, but in all those moments, I think if someone had just brought my attention, like, hey, you know, you can just wear cowries, the traditional beads like this, you know, the coral beads like the Igbos have, and I know my tribe has something also with coral beads. It never occurred to me that I could wear that around my neck. You know, it was only for traditional marriages. Like, it had to be a funeral, it had to be some, but just you could wear that as your own thing, with a t-shirt. With your own. Why wasn't that something that dawned on me? Like, hey, just Make that your own thing, like every day. Be you.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like we can do it to this day. I remember some of my family members when I first started wearing the cowries, they're like, nah, why are you wearing this juju thing? I'm like, what are you talking about, juju? First of all, juju is just a derogatory way to speak about our traditional religion. So I don't buy that. You know, so you see somebody in church and they're talking about the body and the blood of Christ. You don't say juju. So why are you not telling me any juju at all? I don't want to hear it. Secondly, this is where we come from, bro.
Yeah.
This is our culture. This is us. I ain't copying nobody else. This is my thing. So there's no reason why we shouldn't do that. I see people all over the world wearing their cultural elements
and we will gladly wear it. We will gladly wear it.
Exactly. And you look fresh and it's cool and it's distinctive. You know, and it's funny because interesting conversations happen. Some people will come up to me and they'll be like, this guy said to me, like, well, does people ever ask, like, is it like shark's teeth or something like that? And I'm like, yeah, you could come and ask me. Somebody asked me, like, oh, is that made of shark's teeth? I'm like, no, these are not shark's teeth. They're human. Oh, you have such a lovely smile. End of conversation. Don't you asking me stupid things. I come with respect. I look like I'm the shark fisherman.
I'm like, I got it from the first dinosaur.
It keeps things interesting. But most people will be coming and curious. Like before the world closed with this COVID, I would always have people come to me at airports and say, oh my God, that's so beautiful. What is that? Oh, really? Where is it from? And it brings a conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know, there was one guy who would talk to me every time I go through immigration in Johannesburg. I'm like, you know what this is, huh? I was like, I know what it is. Like, yeah. So you're a proper African man. I'm like, oh, proper African man. He's like, yeah. You know we have this too in our culture. I was like, yeah. Like, okay. And then whenever I would come back for business, he'd be like, yeah, I see you. I'm like, me, I see you too. You know, and it's just like, it's beautiful. And I love that idea of bringing culture to the fore. Now, you're from somewhere, me, I'm from somewhere. Let's connect.
That's right.
I think that's a good thing. And we need more of that ability to connect with respect across cultural lines.
That's right. Yeah, that's why this became like my, it took over my wristwatches even.
That's what's up.
I ended up making myself a silver, white gold bracelet because that's like I gotta make something before I leave Bahrain. Yeah. I made that. It's somewhere. I hope my daughter hasn't found it because she probably put it on one of our dolls or teddy bears, whichever. But yeah, but this is the one I'm like, no. Probably that's why it's wider now because she found it once. And I was like, yeah. And it needs to go somewhere higher. But I already talked to a friend in Tanzania and a friend who's going back to Nigeria. They both want to compete and bring something from me. So I was like, all right, I'll check it out. But yeah, I love our handcrafted bracelets. Bracelets are my thing. I love them, and yeah, but I'm far more comfortable with myself now. Like I even saw one of our sisters. She's Chadian, and she does a show on Instagram, and she wore one recently, but it was a little bit bigger. And I was like, sister, that is gorgeous. Like when and I thought about it, I was like, I've only seen women wearing it. But I was like, I don't care, I'll wear it. Where can I get it? And she gave me. I was like, because at first I was like, that's so gorgeous, and I love it. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, why am I even what? I need it. I wear it, and I wear it with confidence. I wear it everywhere.
With confidence, because now when you wear it, it looks like a man's thing. When you wear it, looks like a woman's thing. Well, you just do your thing.
Like my daughter says, it's mine.
Exactly.
I wear it, it's mine, and people are going to see it and like, hey, I thought you thought wrong. Now you've met me. It's mine, it's mine. Yeah, I colonized it, I gentrified it, whatever.
I know, I exactly. I just moved it, I discovered it.
I discovered it. Oh, man.
Columbus, that whole joint.
Oh, man. I still remember the day I was sitting down in Ibadan with the boys in the hood, and somebody just, they were smoking a blunt, but I was still in that blunt. I was getting out of everybody who smokes were bad people. But by then I was mixing up with the people, but I was still like, I'm not smoking. I'll be judging you people in a way. Yeah. So the cracks are happening. And I'm sitting there and just out of the blue, the guy just says, so you mean Mungo Park came all the way from Scotland, jumped in the River 19, jumped in a river, he came to Mali, jumped in a river and follow the river all the way, and they ended up here before even Nigeria existed. And then, I discovered this river is River Niger. Wow, the people there, you're looking, so this water is just there. Wow, look at the water. Look at the water. Wow, this guy just come from Scotland. I have discovered it. It is your river now.
The people that are walking around, they never noticed.
They never noticed.
They are thirsty. For 100 years they are thirsty. They have nothing to drink.
They're just there looking. They didn't know.
Nonsense.
And then
nonsense. Yeah. It's the garbage that they teach people.
He just turns
to call it school
and looks at everybody and like, why did we have to take tests on this? And he discovered, and everybody like, nobody could answer.
That's
right. And I was like, oh yeah, wow, how did he discover it?
And as soon as you start asking those questions, then the conversation changes. I watched this film a couple months ago called "Exterminate All the Brutes" by Raoul Peck, legendary.
Oh yeah, that Raoul Peck is any work from Raoul Peck is
right.
I agree.
So when you get a chance, brother, check out this on HBO Max or whatever. It's HBO.
Oh, okay, it's on HBO. Okay, that's probably why I haven't seen it.
Yeah, and it's Raoul Peck. It's called "Exterminate All the Brutes." And it's basically a history of the creation of the modern West. And it talks about how colonizers came in from Europe and destroyed these societies, like just exterminated people. How the Western world is built on genocide.
It is.
Now, people don't want to hear it because it makes them feel bad. But I'm like, it might make you feel bad. But what about the repercussions of that for all the people and their families and the descendants of those who suffered these horrible crimes against humanity, when you're acting like it didn't happen so you don't feel good, and that they're still living with the legacy of it, and you're not considering how that feels.
Yeah.
And this is the stuff where there has to be a reckoning. There has to be an understanding of what is humanity and who is human and what makes us so. And as long as you've decided that humanity is in the voice of those who get to speak, based upon the battles they've won, then those who are there living and growing and breathing in society are only seen as valuable as determined by their value is only insofar as they have been able to visit extraordinary violence against other people. And I reject this as a definition of humanity.
I reject it.
That's not what humanity is. That's not what this is all about. And so we don't want to talk about it because you're going to make you feel bad. But all of our modern institutions are rooted in the same crimes.
Exactly.
And at a certain point, there must be a reckoning. Where do we go from here? How do we compensate the people who were stolen from, people whose families, their resources were eroded and destroyed? How do we look at the people who are coming up and enable them to also live and thrive? And it is a guaranteed reckoning. Why? Because what we were talking about earlier, look at the birth rates. The Western countries are coming down. Many other places are coming down. Africa is going up. So sooner or later, you're going to need somebody to help you when you are old.
That's right.
That person will be African.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. And what we need to do is to build relationships of understanding and respect. Now, why don't people want to acknowledge what was done? Because they scared you gonna come do the same thing to them that they did to you.
That's where they're all coming from. Oh, they're just gonna come in and wipe us out. And
they're just gonna come wipe us out. And I'm just like, boss, my brother, wait, so you think we're gonna come and treat you the way we treated us? But we come from a different cultural framework.
Exactly.
Right? And so that different cultural framework needs to take a more assertive stance for our own sake and our own dignity and honor, but also for the sake of other people who are scared of what's coming down the pike. To be like, listen, we saw that you did wickedness. Me, I'm not trying to be a wicked person. God will reckon with you. God will reckon with me too. I am choosing a path that I think can lead to a better world. We must be assertive in establishing who we are and what we believe in, for our own sake and for the sake of the people that we connect with around the world. And the hope is that those people will start to see like, yo, the kind of humanity, the way that these guys articulate the essence of humanity, I'm feeling it. I want to be a part of that. And so you don't find victory in the span of time from coming and crushing the people who tried to crush you.
Yeah.
No, you come from evangelizing a better way of life, not through word, but through action
Actions. Yeah.
and through the storytelling. And that's why I work in the media and entertainment field. I'm not just out here to make films and TV shows and movies for fun and for kicks. I want to do stuff that lets people feel their value, that lets people see that, hey, I'm also part of this. And I want to do that for Africans. I want to do it for Indians. I want to do it in people from the Philippines and in Paraguay and Argentina. I want to do it for people in Canada and in Berlin and Detroit. Why not? Why
Exactly.
can't we
Why
go to
not?
somebody in the heart of Beirut and be like, we see you. Let's hear your story through your own mouth, through your own eyes. And
Because
stop
everybody
this
has a story.
weird colonization of the mind that comes when only certain people's stories are perceived to be valuable. And therefore, they're the ones we have to hear from in every interpretation of the world. And meanwhile, the world is going sideways in a handbasket to God knows where. No, it's time to have a different kind of relationship with one another and with the amplification of voice. And that's why the work we do is under the banner of Take Back the Mic. The entire principle is that historically there's only been a few people whose voices have been amplified enough that the world or the community, the society gets to hear and has to embrace their ideology. But this is the first generation in human history that has the talent and the technology to speak for itself. So we should take back the
Take
mic
back the mic.
and let this generation speak for itself.
I love that. You know, and it's part of giving a voice to the people who haven't been given a voice. That's how this podcast came to be, and the name White Label American. Because people are like, oh, wait, what kind of name is that? And I'm like, if you look back to when most of us migrated here, the picture of who was the immigrants, the American, the immigrants in America it wasn't people of my skin color. It was a family. It was usually a white European family, husband, wife, two kids, picket fence. You live in suburban America. You don't want to live. It's like you can't stay in the city. You can't stay in Brooklyn. You can't stay in Harlem. Like you just had that mindset, and it's like, oh, I come to America. This is the American dream. But when my friend recommended the name White Label, and he said companies white label all the time. So White Label American should be your podcast name, because now you're reclaiming the name American, because literally you're doing what they did when they came and said, your people, you guys living on this land, you don't count anymore. We are the people now. So we're going to name it America. We're going to name it Americans. But this is the picture of American that exists. And this podcast is like, no, we're not going by that definition anymore. Americans are more than that picture. And we recognize people who were brutalized, traumatized. We recognize those who've been successful. We recognize those who have failed, because failure is part of our story. And we don't just sell only the model immigrant. No, we sell everybody. The only people who we don't bring on this podcast are those who come here and be like, we are the only immigrants who should exist. Fuck everybody else. Get out. Yeah. Other platforms already exist for you. So bye-bye, go.
That's right.
We don't need you here.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't need you here. So that's why the name White Label American was the name chosen for this podcast, and that's how it came to be. And it's beautiful when I always have a guest like you who makes me remember the reason why this podcast took off in the first place. And you make me remember my purpose and strengthen my purpose. Yeah, that's the term I was looking for. So it's just, that's why I'm so glad that you came on this show. It makes it extra beautiful. So you're not just only out in the media space and trying to bring stories from not only different parts of Africa, and there's so many stories from all over. Like Africa alone you can get, there's like 3,000 tribes in Africa. There are ethnic groups. And each one has, you can create multiple universes, Well, it's a whole genre. Like we have everything. We have everything. Like Nollywood is tiny. To be honest, Nollywood is tiny. Based on the stories Nollywood tells, it's tiny.
Mm,
When you start going into each culture, each like, come on, it's like
amazing.
we
Absolutely.
haven't really touched African gods.
That's
We haven't
exactly
even
right.
touched African gods. If we want to get serious and go
That's
there,
right.
and when we start bringing that out and hitting that, people going, but what? Whoa, African god? Wait, yeah, wow, I didn't. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you haven't even when start. Yeah, people gonna be like, whoa, like, yeah, there's gods who from Cape Town to Casablanca to Cairo to Khartoum. Yeah, everybody got something, and
That's right.
when people start gonna start, and that's why I love this time that we are in. And I don't really buy the people who like, oh, films are not the same. All this should be back to the old medium. Like, go back to the 50s. Then bye bye. You go get your time travel machine. Go. I'm enjoying this time
Enjoy.
where we have
Hmm.
more access to content. People are now those with the bigger platforms are recognizing that yes, Africa is not one big country. Yes, technically we are one country, but we have many people, and
That's right.
each people have stories to tell and have the right to bring their stories to the scene. And
That's right.
one quick point I'd like to throw in, which you've mentioned, it was a few years ago that I got to find out that one of the first genocides that doesn't even get talked about, now it's been getting like recently it's been getting a lot of airtime, was 30 years before World War II, before the genocide, the Holocaust happened. 30
Namibia.
years before that was the genocide in Namibia
Yes.
by by
Hmm.
the, by the by the, so it was
Germans.
by the Germans. And
Yep.
when you it's a very brutal genocide that no, it's like a lot of Africans are not even aware of that took place on the continent.
Right.
30 years.
That's right.
Hitler was a teenager. He was a little boy.
Yeah.
So there were people who took brutal action on the continent that people still don't haven't reconciled and like, but they're okay with because they did the right thing when it came to compensating Israel, and that's why I say you can do the right thing. You know how to do the right thing when it comes to
And
compensating
yes.
others. Because New
Yes.
Zealand, people don't also talk about that. New Zealand got reparations also. Maoris
For
got
the Maoris.
the Maoris got reparations, but it's like very shh, don't talk about it kind of thing.
Yeah, you
And
don't want to
it
get
was,
the word to get out.
but it was by mistake. I found out about it, and I was like, wait, so you can do the right thing. You know the right thing to
Yes.
do. So
Yes.
you can do it, and that's why I was glad that the Herero tribe, and I've forgotten the second tribe that would face the brunt of the genocide from the Germans, said no to the New Deal after Germany technically apologized, but offered only $1.2 billion for 30 years. I'm like, come on, come on, you know the right thing. You should be offering. If you had offered only those two tribes 1.2 billion every year for 30 years, I was like, okay, that's kind of it's tolerable. But
Yeah.
to say the whole country will give you 1.2 billion over 30 years, like get out of here.
Over 30 years?
Yeah, that was
That's a stupid
but
garbage
but the
deal.
government accepted it. Yeah,
What?
except for the two tribes who are like, nah, we'll sue you now. They already sued them on their own. They're like, we're not part of this.
Good.
Yeah, so
Good.
but
No, because this
I
stuff is
inserted
like,
the Nollywood. You seen that Nollywood meme? That video of like, get out of here, get out of
yeah,
here. Yeah,
yeah,
that
right?
as soon as they announced it, I was like, get out of here. Come on, ain't
No,
doing that.
because the thing is like, you know that it's not right. They know that it's not right.
You know,
And at the end of the day, people have to know their own worth.
mm-hmm.
And these stories, and see, this is why it comes back to what we were talking about how you train children. If you raise children to take smacks and shut up, then they are more easily dominated when they get older. They may rebel against, may not like it, but they've been taught, they've been crushed down. Children need to learn to think and be free and to find their voice and find their power. A powerful person is actually easier to deal with. I'm not talking about power in the geopolitical sense where people do anything just to get the edge on the next person. I'm talking about in the internal, deeply fundamental spiritual sense.
Yeah.
I always tell my wife, there's nothing more dangerous in the world than an insecure man.
That's true.
Because what'll happen is they'll do anything to try to hide the insecurity, try to feel okay.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're out here cutting, chopping men, chopping women down from the time they're children. So of course they're going to grow up with insecurities, and they can be led around the nose by all kinds of people. So now you see the wickedness that is visited upon Africa, the wickedness that's been visited upon many peoples all around the world
Yeah.
to this day.
Yes.
And then you see all the folks who will quietly watch it happen and be, because they weren't taught to know, let your yea be yea, let your nay be nay. Like, no, it's not right. We don't believe in this. It's not acceptable. And so the folks who went and perpetrated genocide against Africans came home and then perpetrated genocide against Europeans. Their own people.
Yeah.
They decided, you're not enough of us. You're not like us, and you're not like us, and you're not like us. And all of you, your lives are worth nothing. Watch and see, if you were there in Germany in those days, and you're like, but this is not right. These Jewish people are just trying to live. Let them be. They'll kill you too.
Yeah.
I don't care how blonde your eyes are or your hair or whatever. It doesn't matter. Once you've decided that humanity is not worth as much, I'll take it to another level. You look at what's happening in South Africa today. It's a lot of drama, economically, security-wise, whatever. Why is there so much violence in South Africa? Because it was a society that was built on violence against Black people.
Yes.
And violence begets violence. And so once you've said some people are less than, the humanity's not worth as much, well, then there you go. Look at what's going on in the United States. We got more mass murders, mass shootings than there's been days of the year.
That's true.
What is going on? And why? Well, because you have a society that was founded on the devaluation of human life. And then we go lie about it, pretend it didn't happen. It wasn't really like that. Oh, Columbus discovered America.
Yeah.
Nonsense. Nonsense. You're discovering, you're coming into my house, you're drinking beer from my fridge, you're talking about you discovered Bud Lights. Oh, me, I bought it. I mean, it's foolishness. It's foolishness, and everybody knows it's garbage. But this is what we still teaching children. It's Columbus Day. Is it? Okay, so what are we reflecting on then? And so when you then said we're going to build a society, we're going to commit genocide against Native peoples. We're going to commit genocide against African peoples. We're going to have all other kinds of peoples come in to help build a society. We're now going to give them credit.
Yeah.
We're going to let the Chinese come build the railroads. We're going to kick them out.
Yeah, you kick
the
them
Japanese are here. They're part of the society. Oh, we don't like you guys.
Put them in internment camps.
Lock them in camps. Yeah. Mexicans is here. Half of the country was Mexico. Maybe not half, but a big chunk.
Yeah.
You'd be like, how are these Mexicans gonna come to San Diego? They're coming over the border to San Diego. Mexicans are coming up, and we're seeing them in San Francisco. Mexicans in Los Angeles. I'm like, what?
The name is
San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and you talking about Mexicans is the problem. Yeah. It's so stupid. And so at the end of the day, we have to look up and say, like, hey, we denigrated so many people.
Yes.
We keep finding reasons to strip people of their humanity. And we wonder why our society doesn't value human life. It is in everybody's interest to start having honest conversations. Honest. I want to hear you say this stuff. It's like, oh, this person's a troublemaker. I'm like, no, I'm a peacemaker. The peace can only come when there's honesty about how we got to where we are.
Yeah.
You can't have a solution to your medical problem if you don't have the adequate diagnosis. You come in, you have a tummy ache, they cut off your leg. Now your leg and your tummy both hurt. That's not how this is done.
Yeah, that's right.
We need to diagnose the problem.
That's right.
Take it from.
That's right. So let's begin to wrap it up. You've given me a lot of your time, and I appreciate you, brother, for that. You're such a great audience. I could do like 10 hours with you, honestly. But, I know you got a lot of stuff to go on too, so really appreciate you. So, for AMP Global, before you started AMP Global, before I ask officially about AMP Global, there was one thing that happened. You went viral. during Obama's first term, while he was running for president, first term. How
Yeah.
did that? How did you handle that going viral moment? How did that whole thing go about with you? Was it that this was before the internet was what the internet is today?
That's right.
So what was that like? When people say you went viral then, is it the same like going viral today?
I think so. I think so. I mean, it was crazy because that was all around this conversation about Obama and healthcare. And it was quite funny because what happened is I would go to I'll be traveling and I'll be at the airport and some people would come up to me like, yo, hey, are you Derrick Ashong? I'm like, hmm? Happened to me on a subway one time. Are you Derrick Ashong? I would literally got to a point where I couldn't go travel and somebody wouldn't recognize me within the United States.
Yeah.
Overseas was different. So that was crazy. But then people were seeing it overseas as well. I'm getting all these messages from all around the world. So it was quite an interesting thing. I had already been doing a lot of cool stuff in my career, but I think that notoriety opened up new doors. And that enabled me to have some new experiences that were also really cool.
Nice.
For me, I've never really sought the spotlight per se. I'm trying to build things and tools like Amp Global. It's a technology company. The technology basically rewards people for engaging with content. You watch, you share, you get points, da, da, da. There's really cool things that can happen with those points, and we're building and growing. For those of you who haven't seen what we do, check out takebackthemic.com, takebackthemic.com. We're going to be launching some really wonderful stuff in the beginning of July, which is very
Yeah.
momentarily.
Yeah. I'll, I'll
And
I'll have both links in the show notes too.
fantastic, fantastic. And basically, I'm focused on how do we help amplify other voices. So I use my voice. I'm good at, articulating my ideas. But I don't want to be the orga. Now I know what's happening. You people, you must come to me to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Me, I have the power. I'm like, yeah, if I have some, how can I use it to help other people build their own power? So, for example, we have a series that we launched this year called the Mic Africa. What is it? It's a music competition and a documentary series. And we started it in Latin America called Take Back the Mic, which is
Yeah.
the name of a whole app and platform now, much more than a show. And Take Back the Mic was like Anthony Bourdain travel show meets American Idol music competition. So now we started with Brazil, Colombia, and Jamaica. The kids used the platform to decide what they thought was hot, which artists they love. The artists rise up in the ranks based on the engagement, and then the top ones in each country were cast in the show. Now we took it to television this year with the Mic Africa for the first time. Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, and Mauritius. And we allowed the community to use this app. Watch and share, I get points. The artist gets points too. They rise up the charts. Top artist cast in the show. Number one artist won a big prize, won a trip to Rwanda. Top scoring fans won the prize too.
Wow.
Now we're expanding because that was the first television format that was ever come out of the African continent. When you ask people what's the big show in Nigeria, they'll be like, BB Niger,
Yeah.
Big Brother Africa. We have X Factor. I'm like, that's cool. South Africa's got Real Housewives of Johannesburg. Okay, that's all good, but it all came from outside it.
True.
Where's our indigenous format that everyone is now watching around the world? It's never been done. So we set out to do that.
That's true.
And that is an example of what I mean. Like, I am here building this company and creating the show and this and this and that. But the fundamental theory behind it is, why don't we amplify the voices of this next generation? So these kids selected the hottest artists in these countries and we told their stories. And a few weeks ago, as I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned actually, but they picked this 12,000 candidates every year for the Telly Awards. And of them, they shortlist 25. And that includes people like Disney and HBO and Netflix.
Wow.
And last month, we won 2 Telly Awards. Amongst that top 25, we won a gold and a silver.
Yeah.
With the biggest dogs on the block, right? For what? For a story of a Nigerian kid. He's an MC in a tough neighborhood with a very powerful message.
Beautiful.
So here we are,
Beautiful.
showcasing the best of Africa as spoken through the voices of African artists. And I think that's what our work, our technology, and our media can do for young people and communities in Africa, in the Middle East, in South Asia, in Southeast Asia, North Asia, and Latin America, and we come to Europe and Americas as well, to show what happens when you give people a chance to speak for themselves. And I think that is what I would like to contribute to society.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. You know what? That could almost be the answer to the final Q, but I'm still going to ask the final Q separate. So if people want to get on, to take part in the AMP Global, the Take Back the Mic, is it only for those on the African continent or nearby, or like can I like being in US?
It's
I can take
worldwide.
Okay, so
It's my brother. I'm glad you asked me this one. We are non-discriminatory. Everyone can participate.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
we had. I think it was like 128 countries participated in the Mike Africa season 1.
Beautiful.
There were only 6 countries competing.
Yeah.
128 countries participated in selecting who the artists were and who would win. It's amazing.
That's it.
And the beauty is now we're expanding. So the Mike Africa season 2 is in 10 countries. The first 6,
Lovely.
Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa, Mauritius. Now we're adding, Senegal, Ethiopia, Morocco, Tanzania, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically people from anywhere can help elevate these artists by watching and sharing.
Great.
And as the artists are elevated, the fans are rewarded as well. And we think it becomes a great standard to set of how community can speak to each other across these borders. We think of it as a global conversation in your local language. So the Mike Africa is the birth, but starting next year, after the end of the season of the Mike Africa season 2, which is coming up in a few months, you'll see it exploding in a variety of territories that we're working on right now.
Beautiful.
And so, yes, everyone is welcome. Everyone is invited. We're doing Africa today. Tomorrow, we will be coming to your neighborhood as well. But we are all part of the conversation, no matter where we go.
Awesome. And that's true. We're all part of the conversation, no matter where we go. That's great. And one thing I love about your platform is that, one problem I have with other platforms, not that they are similar to yours, is that when they say we are doing something for Africa, it's like they just pick only 1, 2, 3 countries and like the usuals. But you have countries like Mauritius. Mauritius is an African country. There are people who are like, what? I've never heard of Mauritius. I'm like, it's an African country. I've always known about that. And then for your part 2, you have Morocco. There's some people like, we don't talk to North Africans. And I'm like, they are Africans. Without Morocco, you wouldn't have the African Union. They were a founding member. And no matter how you feel about Western Sahara, which is a whole different conversation, I get it. I get it, honestly. But it still doesn't say that you rule out the whole North Africa. No, they are part of Africa. It's like saying Egypt's not Africa because most people like to put them in the Middle East. It's an African country that handles Middle Eastern affairs too. They are still African.
That's right.
Like it or not. So I love that you're including all of Africa in the project, and it's beautiful to hear that. So I can't let you go without two fun questions. You've been to so many places, lived in so many places, handled, touched so many spaces. When it comes to food, where does your loyalty lie with?
My loyalty lies with Ghana Jollof. It's simple.
This man didn't even waste time. He didn't waste time. He didn't even think about it. No delay.
There's no delay. I want my Ghana Jollof. I want my
let me start. Let me
I want shito with it.
I just bought shito yesterday.
There you see.
I took a South African guy to a West African store. There was a Nigerian woman that owned the store. I was like, come, let me go show you our store. The guy was there. It was like, I was like, we went on a Sunday and we got there. I was like, they're not open. They said open sign was there and door didn't open. I was like, West African stores can be,
There's the GMT, the Ghana maybe time. It's like, so we're going to see you at 2. Yeah, you see me at 2, maybe 3, maybe 4. I'm like,
and I was like, there's another store down the street. Let's go to that one. Went there, same thing, big sign, open, door didn't open. I'm like, all right, let's go. And as we turned back, we had a bus, door open. Woman was like, sorry, my brother. You call me next time you're coming. I said, I'm just coming to your store for the first time. I would like call you.
You don't have your number.
She's running around like, you want this one? You want this one? And then she allows my wife walk by, and after my wife is gone, she's like, "Oh, I have special thing for men. You want the special one for men? That one that will give you energy. I give you that one." And she thought she was talking to two people that understood. The South African guy didn't understand a single thing. So I was like, after the woman left, I was like, "Bro, she was talking to you too." He was like, "About what?" I said, "Do you need extra energy? Sometimes we call it monkey. Monkey must climb.
The power.
The power. Monkey must climb." So I showed him the drink. She had a whole section. He said, "Hey," he was like, "Hey, what is this, man?" I was like, "Oh, you guys haven't messed with. Well, this is West Africans. Now, your wife's gonna thank me. Don't tell your wife I brought you here, but now you know. Now you know. Now you know. You want to cook jollof? This is the jollof side. But if you want to make baby number 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is where you go."
They have the special herbs and spices.
Okay.
So funny.
So with you being in the music space,
yeah,
this one might be a little bit tough for you, but I'm here for this. This is a controversial one. Now this should be controversial a little bit. I hope it is. I want you to spill the tea. I need you to dance and I know you dance, so you can't deny that you're a dancing man. So you have to dance for an hour. Give me at least 3 artists that will keep you dancing for an hour. If you have to shake it down, boogie it down for an hour, who can keep DNA
for an
going?
Hour. Well, obviously, Fela comes among because the beat goes on forever.
Yeah.
Right. I definitely think Sean Paul bringing the ruckus. That stuff keeps super fly.
Okay.
And then you got to look at the new generation, Burner. You make it hot. So I think those would be 3 dope ones. But if you allow me a little bit more, I gotta tell you, Parliament Funkadelic. I love that stuff from, Jump Did It. James Brown, super, super funky. And then my own traditional high life,
I was waiting.
The palm wine, just get a little smooth groove. So he came, Yami Mensa, the old boys. And if you want to take it current, Osibisa. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you're dancing for an hour, you are not even dancing, you're warming up. So
I knew it. I knew I was talking to a professional here, so I just had to go with an hour to make it, just.
No doubt.
Because I was just waiting. I was like, I thought if he doesn't say high life, hey, I'd have just said Ghana people
represent.
Ghana people come for him or don't come for me. I've
already shouted out Jollof. I haven't said anything about Komi Kekenam. I haven't spoken about Fufui. So these guys are coming for me anyway.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's why I always love to throw these fun questions.
I love it. That's what's up.
So the final question to wrap it up, what would you like to leave the audience with? I know you've dropped a lot of gems and there's a lot of great points that you've dropped that could have technically answered this question, but just freestyle, something to wrap it up, your final thing you'd like to leave the audience.
The world is ours. Our destiny is on our own hands. And we have an opportunity to do better for ourselves and for each other. We need to seize that opportunity. There's not a lot of time to continue the way things work. So let's make things the way we want them to be. And I believe we can do this together.
I love that. I can't thank you enough. I've forgotten, let me see, do I ever know how to say thank you in any of my, I think I used to know how to say thank you in 3. But I think I ate too much banku day for yesterday. And I ate trophy. Bedasi.
You see that?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I will forget that as soon as I leave the studio now. Blame the trophy that I ate last night. So, yeah. But in my language, it's Mbana. So Mbana for coming to the studio.
Mbana.
Yeah. And but I've been learning a little Swahili too. So Asante Asana too. So I try to throw it all, and my wife's German, so I say Dankeschön too. So at least if you say thank you in every language,
hey, Dankeschön, all day, no doubt.
You get a free beer, and if there's palm wine, I can't wait for fresh palm wine. I miss fresh palm wine because it's That's the main thing I miss from back home. Fresh palm
That
wine.
one is hard to get in New York City. Fresh palm wine.
If
so much.
If anybody can figure that out, that is man. I might marry the person. My wife. Sorry, honey, but yeah, it's. I mean, you know me.
You have to edit that part before your wife listens to the podcast. She's like,
my wife.
He's running for palm wine.
My wife
and you just said Duncan Shane, now he's switching teams.
My wife loves, she knows that there are certain things that can make me cross the line. I can be like, you know what, I don't care if it's a man or woman. I'll be like, oh, they can, you can bribe me with that one, I beg. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you a lot. Yes. I'm going to add the links that you already mentioned, but if you have any other plugin that you like me to add.
No, that's it. We're starting the casting for the Mike Africa Season 2, so check us out, takebackthemic.com. Over the next few weeks, you're going to be discovering artists from 10 countries across the continent, and we're going to together elevate them to the next level.
All righty. So to everyone listening, thank you for giving us your time. We appreciate you all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you want to join us on Patreon, look for the White Label American Podcast. Taking down artificial walls is what we do. And if you want to write us a letter, please do send us a letter. We're having a feedback episode soon, so yeah, do that. So thank you all, and I appreciate you all, and thank you for the privilege of your company. See you next week. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.